allowing for all the emotions of the human experience to be your light. And so sometimes the dial of that light will be at different frequencies or different illuminations, but rather than feeling like, oh, I have to completely shut down and be in the darkness, know that there are ways and avenues and practices. So the movement, which I think is so beautiful, that in the language we can think of movement, certainly of the physical movement, there's also the emotional, the spiritual movement. So it doesn't have to be, here I roll out this rectangular piece of fabric and assume shapes with the body, which very much that can be the portal into the self, into the illumination. Oftentimes I find the most shine in my day while I'm just sitting still with my coffee and my dog and just witnessing the miracle of the sun rising.
Have you ever felt disconnected from your own body? Moving through on autopilot, rushing from one thing to the next, and wondering where your sense of ease and peace went? In a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, sometimes the most powerful healing begins by coming home to ourselves. Welcome to Energy Medicine, the podcast where we explore practical and tangible tools to help you reconnect with your body, regulate your nervous system, and bring more coherence into your life. I'm your host, Dr. Mary, and today we're diving into the transformative power of mindful movement. I'm joined by Veronique Ory, an intuitive movement mindful awareness guide and author of Shine On and Off the Mat. Veronique blends yoga, storytelling, and self-inquiry to create experiences that help people reconnect to themselves and shine in every aspect of their lives. Her teachings are known for poetic languages, grounding presence, and practical tools, and it makes movement more accessible on and off the mat. Today, we'll explore how mindful movement can become a daily practice for presence, clarity, and connection.
When we're attuning to something mindfully, that is the yoga practice. And so I love to shine a light on that. I feel like it's so easy to just shine a light on it, because I think sometimes people have reservations or maybe blocks around going to a yoga studio maybe, or maybe they had an experience that wasn't favorable. I really think that yoga is for everyone. And oftentimes it's just finding that your level of receptivity, what's going on in the season of your life, matches with perhaps the style or the portal into the aspect of the yoga practice that resonates for you here and now. And that's really the invitation with Shine On and Off the Mat. It's like, what lights you up? Do that, and do it fiercely, do it with intention. And then I think of that as, then you have these beams of light, light beings out in the world and sharing that. And you could almost see like sort of like an anime version of this, where, you hold the door open for someone, and then that light extends to that person, and then that person shakes that person's hand, and then boom, boom, boom. And then you kind of like beam out, and you see the globe from afar, and you just see all of these lights illuminate everywhere. And it's like, oh, it actually doesn't have to be so complicated. Just sharing a smile with someone, or, like you see a baby giggle, or all of these little things. It's like, oh, okay, little sparks of joy. And let's just kind of harness that like little fireflies in a jar and just marvel at it.
Veronique, I love how you are explaining the shining element. I've often told my patients, be full of yourself, be full of your essence in a positive way. And in your language, you're saying shine on.
Yes.
And in the same sentence, I do hear you say shine on authentically, meaning life does happen. And so there's a time for grieving. There's a time for sorrow. There are periods of our lives when we are not necessarily feeling those quote unquote higher emotional vibrations. Doesn't mean that we're broken. Doesn't mean you use kind of the words of fractured within the heart to allow the light to come out, even in those times of darknesses, so that we might be able to possibly attract our community to also help support us during those times.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, because we deal so much within the neurology of the human body, is that if we are authentic with being with our current emotions, that does help us with the regulation of our autonomic nervous system as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so that spiritual bypass thing that you're talking about is real. And there are a lot of people that lean into it, and it really does not do any of us service, including the person that is doing the bypassing. So
Mm-hmm.
can you speak more as to what that might look like for somebody who's on the mat that may not be, who possibly wants to avoid the human emotion, the gamut of emotions that they're uncomfortable with? What
Mm-hmm.
advice do you give to people that just don't want to lean into the discomfort, but and it kind of it feels counterintuitive, we don't want to lean into the pain and the discomfort. We'd rather feel all sunshine and happiness, right?
Yeah, I often say, let's seek to feel. Let's get comfortably uncomfortable. Let's be perfectly imbalanced. There's a fallacy in the comfort modern day, for many people, the thermostat to the exact degree that we wish in our homes, in our cars, when things are out of alignment or we think that things are not happening as we expect them to be or as we assume them to be, there's a panic because it signals that we're not safe. And oftentimes, I think that this is probably one of the most powerful pieces of the yoga practice is we stress ourselves on purpose. There's actually, we want stress in our life, right? When you think about the dawn of time of our ancestors hunting and gathering and being in extreme temperatures and large fasting windows and being uncomfortable a lot of the time, there's a resiliency that comes from that. There's so much fortitude that comes from that. And so, for example, if you're on your yoga mat and you're holding chair pose, and oftentimes there's this joke, the yoga teacher says 5 breaths, and everyone's like, wait a second, it's definitely been 10 breaths. I've definitely been counting for 20 breaths. I've been in this chair pose for 100 breaths. Are we ever going to be out of this pose? And so one of the things that I really love to do is, this is the meditation, in fact. Whether you're in chair pose or you're in a really challenging conversation with a loved one, if you're in traffic and someone cuts you off, all of a sudden you get like really horrible news from a family member, how are you breathing? Right? What's the quality of your face? How are you in relation to the thoughts taking over your physiology, right? Are you shooting your cortisol up? Are you in this fight or flight mode when actually nothing has changed exteriorly much of the time? Usually it's the thought that completely throws us out of alignment. And so what's so powerful about really recognizing our command of our inner world is we can decide in those moments, right? So there's a stimulus, and then we have agency to create a pause where we can be in command of the breath. And so one of my favorite poses to linger in is fire toe pose, where you're kneeling, your toes are tucked under, and you're seated on your heels. And for many people, if you have anything going on with your feet, this is a very therapeutic shape, avoided by many. I always request or ask for requests at the beginning of a practice, and never have I ever heard someone request this shape. It's very demanding. And so oftentimes what we see people doing, and this is such a great mirror in life, is you see people with shoulders forward, face really tight, breath is labored, and there's like this bracing of when is this going to be done? And so what's so powerful about recognizing that, because so much of this is in the awareness of it, because a lot of people aren't even aware. So if you are aware, then you can create a space of, oh, okay, here I am, I'm in the resistance of it. What if actually I sought to feel deeply? right? So this is the paradigm of, I'm not going to dull with substances. I'm not going to dull with the usual reachings of things where I'm actually distracting myself from feeling. This is very common when we're triggered. So what's so powerful about recognizing our agency to control a slower breath, to seek to feel, is that we realize, oh, I am so much more empowered by being able to feel, because all of the emotions have a space, but it's the way that we are able to metabolize them that indicates whether is this a layer of growth, or is this something that is activating that sympathetic nervous system. And so what's so powerful is then, as we start to refine that awareness, then we can better track in real time, oh, here I am having a human experience, and I can create actually an availability to slow down. So in these urges of to speed up, to bypass of, and we hear this all the time, right? People say, okay, I will be happy when I have this amount of money in my bank account, once my kids are out of the house, once I fill in the blank. All of what's happening right now is happening for us, right? It's not to us. We're not a victim in our own story, I would hope, right? So if we're the hero or the heroine, then actually we seek to feel, and we're able to cultivate a way that we can befriend the discomfort. So exactly to your point, it's seeking to feel through the discomfort, because through the discomfort, this is, so I think of, driftwood in the middle of the ocean, and it's very tumultuous. If the driftwood is trying to be still and hold on to this one particular point in the ocean, it's going to have a very challenging time. And this is often how we relate to different stimulus and things that are happening to us. But rather, if we allow the ocean to take us where we're meant to go, right? If we're the driftwood in this metaphor, then we actually are able to get refined through what is happening in the environment, so that we can actually come to where we're meant to be. And I think that that's turning that dial up on faith, on trust, whatever you believe in. Elizabeth Gilbert has that famous quote of, oh, I realized I never had control to begin with. I just had anxiety. And I feel like for a lot of us that may be type A leaning, it's it was seeming like I could control these things, but really I was just causing myself a lot of anxiety, and I was masking it, thinking that I was trying to control these things. And so slowing down, really changing that paradigm of more, faster, better, to actually less, slower, at peace with all that actually is.
So, Veronique, I'm hearing some practical, tangible tools in there. So I want to take a moment and extract something. Your metaphors for on the mat and off the mat are they're just simple. It happens every day. So we're off the mat. Something happened. We get triggered. That becomes a thought. That thought then, if we allow it, right, turns into a feeling. That feeling, if we lean into it and not avoid it with the spiritual bypass that we were just talking about, if we lean into that feeling, we can then, if we choose to, consciously make a shift, or we consciously choose to really hold on to that feeling and just be so stubborn that we're not going to let it go, and it can influence our future behavior. But I think the practical tool that we get to talk about is that the power of the breath. Because when we're holding in and leaning into that feeling, there may be some incoherence within the heart space. And so the breath, if we start even just with simple 5-second breaths in and 5-second breaths out, or as we learn in yoga to really lengthen through the inhalation and lengthen through the exhalation, we can shift. We can shift from that cortisol driven high sympathetic dominance into that parasympathetic so that we can become more coherent, more heart forward, heartfelt coherence.
Yeah.
That's such a profound tool that you're suggesting.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so wild how the mind it threatens to hijack us. And what's so phenomenal is, and this happens every day, where I'll have a private client and the story is about disgruntled relationship or home or work. And then they just allow for that to be vented. And then I ask, what are you craving? And so that's this open invitation of, that might be a physical something, it might be an emotional something, but usually there's something top of mind of, I crave to open my shoulders, my hips, I'd love to stretch this out, maybe I want to workshop this particular shape. But oftentimes it's the mind chatter that is creating a dis-ease in the mind, the body, and the spirit. And so once that is vented through, and then we move through the physical practice, they come into corpse pose, and then they reemerge. So it's a rebirth, right? You're in corpse pose at the end of the yoga practice. You lay to one side, you're in the fetal position. This is the symbol of rebirth. You come to seated. And so here we are, blank canvas in you, and the entire physiology of their face has completely shifted. And what's so powerful to recognize is nothing about their relationship, their work, the outer environment, the state of the world has not changed, but their inner landscape is completely and radically different and realigned. And so what's so powerful to witness about that is that it's so tempting to get pulled into these things that are out of our control, and it quite literally hijacks our nervous system into that sympathetic state. And so what's so powerful is like, oh, if I could get hijacked this way, wouldn't it be so powerful to allow for harmony and to align in a way that actually makes me feel grounded and uplifted? I'm in that like perfect trifecta of belonging, safety, and love. It's that heart coherence that you were talking about. And so if I'm leading with my heart, right, this is the love space. This is why fear and gratitude cannot ever coexist. And so how powerful is that? So as the trigger happens, thank you, right? Thank you for this other growth opportunity, right? There's that acronym AFCO. So, you can really give thank you. And sometimes, you might say it sarcastically, but really heartfelt thank you. And then moving forward, then you realize, okay, if that's true, then the lives that I touch and so on, right, that you touch and so on, everyone listening and that. So then the trigger actually is, oh, wow, like I had this conversation with Mary and now I feel so joyful. I feel so energized and so full, and let me pass that on, right? And then so then that becomes, oh, I really love this trigger. let's populate that in the world.
This episode of Energy Medicine is a beautiful reminder that the practice of wellness just doesn't happen when you're meditating or on the yoga mat. It's how we live everyday life. Our guest, Veronique Ory, shares powerful insights about what it means to truly shine on and off the mat. She reminds us that one of the most reliable ways to stay present in our busy world is surprisingly simple. Ground your body and reconnect with the frequency of Mother Earth. When we slow down enough to do that, clarity, resilience, and authentic energy naturally return. If Veronique's message resonates with you, you can find her contact information in the show notes. And if you're ready to really slow down and tap into the most sustainable energy available to you, then I'd love to gift you my ultimate meditation guide to unleashing your authentic self. These transformative meditations will guide you back to your essence so you can feel more of yourself. Just download your free copy through the link in the show notes. Let's get back to the show. Veronique, I hear another practical tool, so let's pull it out. Let's extract it. The power lies in the question that you ask your clients, and that is, what do you crave? And so you're inviting them to literally connect in with their physical body and somatically listen. Like, what does the body want to do? If there's a pose, if there's something that's calling to them and their body wants to be in that shape, that's healing. That's a somatic an awareness that, if expanded upon, can go way deeper than the trigger itself.
Absolutely.
So what a beautiful question. So if people, then the next tool would be, if you can take a moment to recognize the awareness that you have been triggered, right? And then settling into the breath and just saying, okay, what is it that I need to feel safe right now, here in the moment? How does my body want to move? Then chances that's the next step in order for you to choose a different outcome. Love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
And
You've talked about this a couple of times, and that's that upward spiral of positive emotions. It's like, if we're true and authentic to our emotional needs, then by default, it's going to create a limbic resonance for somebody else to shift how they emotionally feel. And it just creates that upward spiral. As you said, it goes from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, and then all of a sudden you've got a collective shift. We need more of that in today's world.
Yeah, I love that. I was in New York recently, and I went to a cafe, and the sign on the wall said something like, let's pretend it's 1995 and turn to the next person and talk to them, So it was kind of a cute way to say, we're not doing laptops in this coffee shop, just look around and just be in the emptiness a little bit. And so I think that's so important in the moments of in between, is to get into that practice, and maybe you put as your wallpaper on your phone, what are you craving? You could create a little graphic, because in the pause before we go into, oh, let me just check my messages, oh, let me just go ahead and look on social media, which is great, if your intention is to be in connection versus to distract, to dull, to not be in the discomfort of, oh my gosh, I'm, in line and I'm just standing here. Let me, whatever we do. It's so interesting. I went to the dog park yesterday and we got rained out, and I thought, I don't quite feel like going home. And my word for 2026 is belonging. And so I've been really seeking to go out into places, which I always did when I lived in big cities. But since being in this small town, I'm not in that habit anymore. And so I went to a cafe. I'm sitting down. I have my dog Heart with me, and I'm really intentional. I know. It's like, and she came with that name. It's so perfect. So I'm sitting. I have this affogato. It's espresso with ice cream, and it's just impossibly delicious. And I'm just like really in the sensation of it. So this is the meditation where I'm just experiencing it in its fullest. And I'm not on my phone. I'm just there. And what's so perfect about this is I psychically was thinking, a friend of mine, we sometimes meet up for coffee, but it was such a last minute thing. I thought there's no way that I could message her and she would be available. And as I was closing that thought, a car pulls into the parking lot and she walks up. And so I just share that because when we allow for openness, right? When we allow to call in that space of belonging, of connection, when we can really connect to what is it that you're craving, then it's like, oh, we actually lean into discomfort. And when we lean into discomfort, then we actually bridge the gap of that disconnection that we often feel. And what's so wild about the urge to be in the scroll or to be in the messages is what we do is we go, we kind of like get really narrow focused. And I travel a lot, so I'm very aware of this in airports. And so what I really love as the invitation is actually in these in-between moments, we can each be in that lens, right? Almost like your own ophthalmologist. Like, do you want to be in heart coherence? Do you want to be with a really sort of blurry film on your eyes? Well, obviously, you would choose, oh no, I want to see with clarity. You wouldn't tell the ophthalmologist, no, I want to not see well, right? So if that's the case, then how are you orienting, right? What are the choices that you're making in the daily rhythm that allow to be seeing through that lens?
Mm-hmm. So, Veronique, you are such a beautiful storyteller, and all of your stories are filled with insights and empowerment and practical, tangible stuff. And you're talking about, people feeling disconnected. And if we're honest, most of us, even in a given daily cycle, we go through those periods of, you talk about, withdrawing or narrowing our focus, and we disconnect. And I know I can kind of feel some of the listeners saying, yeah, that's me. So what are some of the things that you teach people to bring their awareness in the moment when they start to disconnect, to take a time out and to make a different choice?
Mm-hmm. It's so important to set that rhythm first thing in the morning. This is so commonly talked about, to keep the phone as far away from your head when you're sleeping, to stay in that disconnected space for as long as possible in the morning. Take yourself outside, cast your eyes as far as they can see, connect to your breath, connect to spirit, connect to your intention, connect to that question of what am I craving? What energy wants to pour through me today? And then only then would you engage on the horizontal plane, let's say, right? Where you might engage with people that you live with any kind of messages that need tending to. But once you've connected to the movement, right? The movement practice physically, emotionally, spiritually, however that resonates for you. I've gone through different seasons. And so I really invite everyone to explore, like, what would your perfect morning be like? Is your like it's so interesting. It's like, if anything was possible, would you reach over and start scrolling on your phone? Probably not. I mean, I would hope you would say like, oh, like my dream would be to step outside and maybe go for a long walk, or maybe I would just sit down with my coffee or my tea, right? So be in that dream space. And then it's like you have your own superhero cloak. So then when any of the things that come through that maybe are weighty or might feel like, oh, there's like resistance here, we can start to actually better discern what needs our attention. I think one of the things that is such a hijack sort of tendency is something comes to us and there's almost a false urgency to it, right? And I see this, with people where they have all of their notifications turned on, and so they'll get like a ping, and then it's like, I have to see, and I have to respond right away. And unless you are actually in a field where this is a life or death situation, it actually doesn't demand your urgent attention. So, we could have a mindfulness session in technology of turn all of your notifications off if they're not already. Be really intentional about the times that you check in. So that's something that I really love to do. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb all of the time, unless I'm specifically expecting a call from someone. And I don't have any of my social media on my phone. I'm not checking it as it comes in. I intentionally go on there when I have the space. I had a teacher tell me years ago, the notifications that we have on our phone is the equivalent of you're in a moment. You could be in a conversation, you could be in meditation, and the notification that comes through is like the equivalent of someone all of a sudden showing up and shoving you in the arm. And it's jarring. It's like, why would you invite someone to just shove you in the arm out of nowhere? Most people wouldn't sign up for that. But what's so interesting is like we have this thing of like, oh, I don't want to miss something. Or what if there's an emergency? Like maybe you have older parents or you have young kids, or maybe you feel like, oh, like work might need to get a hold of me. And so I think it might just take a moment to just sit with, what are you craving? What actually needs attention? And then how can I cultivate a certain balance where I'm attuning to what actually grounds me and what uplifts me? Where there's moments of creativity, there's moments to learn, there's moments to move, there's moments to connect in community, moments for introspection. And I really love a color-coded calendar. I was actually looking at that this morning. So I have, different colors for the different attentions or appointments that are in my life. And so at a glance, I can see, like blue is balanced with purple, which is balanced with pink and yellow and whatever the different colors and categories for fun time and teaching and podcasts and different things. And so then you can see, okay, is my life in balance, or am I sort of leaning into an attention that maybe is robbing me of my joy? And until we actually look at it, right? So it's what we were talking about earlier. It's like, what is the awareness of what is illuminating your light, so to speak, and what is trying to dim it? And then how can you be more in command of that dimmer switch for yourself?
So listeners, this is so juicy. Okay, just to recap, we asked for just one simple shift, like what we could do, right, to become more connected. And we got a couple of really good suggestions, and a couple of them I already do. Number one, don't sleep with your phone in your bedroom. Keep it outside. Do whatever you need to do to extend that time in the morning for sacred time for yourself. So that's one thing. The other thing she mentioned was the idea of putting on do not disturb. You are empowered as a sovereign being to say, not now. I don't want to be disturbed right now. And then the last tip that we heard was just color coding your schedule. So at a glance, you can see, is there balance of events that you feel like you are more tasking versus more relaxing and uplifting. So those are great. I really appreciate all of those suggestions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Listeners, I know that I alluded to the fact that Veronique has a book out, Shine On and Off the Mat. You know how this works. In my show notes, I'm going to have the links to her website, her book, and also I want to mention that she has an online community. So she's taking yoga and taking the isolation that we may experience and is looking to create opportunities for community collaboration and support. So all of these links are going to be available on the show notes, and I invite you to check it out. And Veronique, I just want to say what a beautiful, gentle, encouraging spirit that you are. So thank you for taking time in color coding us into your schedule.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's such a joy. I mean, I feel like oftentimes it's so tempting to pull back. It can be really vulnerable to show up. There's a lot that's demanding of our attention. And so thank you for including me, Mary, and thank you for everyone for listening. And if anything feels like it's sparking something in you, I really invite you to pass that on, like be the light trigger for the loved ones in your life, and pass along so we can have more light in the world. It's so necessary.
I agree. I'm going to second that and say it in a different way. Every single one of you listening today is a source of light and a source of positivity in a grounded and authentic way. So just being true to yourself and leaning into your emotions and your felt sense awareness, be more of who you are, be full of yourself, and just simply shine on. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.